He was thrown out of his own home by his stepmother, but then he found buried money. What he did next will shock you. Ben was just a boy, but he had once lived the kind of life most people only dream about. He grew up in a wealthy home, surrounded by comfort, security, and everything money could buy. Then, almost overnight, he found himself out on the street. Hunger, exhaustion, and cold became part of his everyday life after his stepmother threw him out of the house like he meant nothing. With nowhere else to go, he wandered to the edge of the woods behind the old family property and found a barren patch of ground where he figured he could at least try to make himself a shelter. He grabbed a broken stick and started digging, hoping to make some kind of shallow cover for the night. Then the stick hit something strange. It was not a rock. It was a thick, black trash bag, buried deep in the dirt. Ben dropped to his knees, his heart pounding, and pulled it out with both hands. The bag was heavy, much heavier than it should have been. When he opened it, his entire world stopped. It was full of money, stacks and stacks of cash, tightly bundled, crisp and thick. More money than he had ever seen in his life, more money than he could even begin to count. Most people in his place would have thought about escape, a new life, new clothes, a warm bed, everything they had ever wanted. But Ben thought about his father. His father, Robert, one of the richest men in the county, was lying sick and helpless, needing urgent care. And in that moment, Ben understood something bigger than money. That cash could save his father's life. If you also believe family is worth more than all the money in the world, then you already understand why what this boy did matters so much. Ben's life had started to fall apart after his mother died and his father remarried. Carmen entered the family looking polished, charming, and perfectly put together. At first, everything seemed fine, but over time, the truth came out. Carmen showed her real face. Her own daughters lived in total luxury, eating the best food, wearing the best clothes, and enjoying every comfort in the house. Ben, meanwhile, was treated like hired help. He kept quiet. He swallowed the humiliation. But Carmen's greed kept growing. She did not just want comfort. She wanted everything. She wanted Robert's empire for herself. Then, days later, Robert suddenly became seriously ill. The symptoms were strange. His mind seemed foggy. His body grew weak. Carmen looked almost pleased, as if she believed the path was finally clear for her to take control of the fortune. But the moment she started tearing through the house looking for money, everything changed. She searched everywhere. She tore through walls, ripped apart the garden, dug through hidden spaces, and still found nothing. What she did not know was that Robert had already seen the evil in her. Before things got worse, he had quietly hidden a huge part of his fortune somewhere no one would ever think to look. And as for his illness, yes, he was sick, but he had also started playing weaker than he really was, hoping Carmen would grow careless and expose herself. Frustrated that she could not find the money, Carmen poured all her hatred onto Ben. One night, after beating him and screaming that neither he nor his useless old father were worth anything, she shoved him out the door and left him with nowhere to go. That was the night he found the bag. Ben was smarter than people realized. He did not spend a single dollar on anything foolish. He hid the bag again beneath the roots of an old tree, marked the spot in his memory, and hurried back toward town to find out what was happening to his father. When he got there, Carmen sneered at him. "Why did you come back?" she said. "Your father is dying in that hospital, and I'm not spending one more dime on him." Ben ran straight to the hospital. He found his father lying on a gurney, while a doctor gave him the kind of news that makes the world tilt under your feet. "Ben, your father needs an emergency procedure," the doctor said. "It's expensive, and if we don't do it tomorrow, he may not survive the week." Ben looked him straight in the eye. "Give me the bill. I'll pay for it." The doctor thought the dirty, exhausted boy had lost his mind. But the next morning, Ben placed the hospital receipt on the desk, paid in full. The doctor could hardly believe it, but the surgery went ahead, and it was a success. Ben did not take his father back to Carmen's house after that. Instead, he rented a quiet, comfortable place where Robert could recover in peace. And because he suspected Carmen had something to do with the illness, Ben even brought in an older local healer, a woman known in the county for helping people recover when doctors could not explain everything. Days later, Robert opened his eyes, clear-minded, strong again. "My son," he said, staring at Ben in disbelief. "You saved me. I remember everything. That woman destroyed us." But peace did not last long. Soon after, Robert's lawyer called in a panic. "Robert, Carmen is trying to sell your estate. She forged your signature. She's moving fast." Robert and Ben rushed to the office. The evidence was all there, the forged papers, the false signatures, the rushed sale documents. Police had already been alerted, and they arrived just as Carmen was preparing to walk away, believing she was about to become even richer. When the officers put handcuffs on her, she exploded. "I didn't do anything. This is his fault," she screamed, pointing at Ben. Ben looked at her calmly and said, "No, this is your fault. You tried to steal our peace. Now, all you'll find is silence in a jail cell." Carmen was convicted of fraud and forgery. Her daughters were taken in by decent relatives, and Ben returned home with his father. That was when he finally confessed how he had paid for the surgery. "Dad, I found a trash bag buried in the woods. It was full of money." Robert smiled from ear to ear. At that moment, he realized the money Ben had found was the very fortune he had hidden from Carmen. But he kept that part to himself. What amazed him most was not that his son